presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Today, we explore communication and the deep human desire for connection. Before we dive into the heart of things, just a quick heads up that while we're discussing communication and mental well-being, this isn't professional mental health advice. Please consult with a professional if you need specific support.
It feels like with so much talking, we're not truly connecting. We share thoughts and have exchanges, but there's a longing for something deeper.
Absolutely. This series aims to move beyond superficial interactions and echo chambers. An echo chamber is a space where your own voice bounces back, amplified, keeping you surrounded by similar thoughts, which rarely leads to new understanding.
So, we're starting by acknowledging that many interactions reinforce what we already believe, rather than exploring new perspectives. It's like everyone agreeing, which feels good but doesn't broaden our horizons.
Exactly. And beneath that is an unspoken desire for more. We crave to be seen and heard, to understand and be understood. This desire for deep connection is fundamental, yet many feel isolated.
That isolation is powerful. I've been in pleasant-seeming conversations and felt completely unmet, like a layer of genuine feeling was missed.
That's a perfect description. Conversations that matter aims for authentic understanding, not just polite discourse. This means stepping outside comfort zones and engaging more meaningfully.
That's a big leap. We're taught to be polite and avoid conflict, but that can prevent deeper, more vulnerable conversations that build connection.
They absolutely can. I recall a friend sharing a difficult situation. I was focused on avoiding awkwardness and offered a superficial response, missing a chance to truly be there for them.
I can relate to that fear of awkwardness. We try to avoid discomfort, but what you describe, Alex, was a missed connection. You could have offered genuine support but got caught in usual communication patterns.
Precisely. I later realized how much more I could have said, how much more I could have listened. That experience helped spark this series. We can learn to navigate those moments and foster deeper connection.
So, we're exploring the art of truly meaningful communication. We'll break down the building blocks of authentic connection and the skills for genuine understanding.
Yes, and that begins with recognizing our current landscape, a world rewarding speed and brevity over depth. Social media encourages curated selves, and even face-to-face interactions can feel superficial.
It's like we're wearing communication masks, presenting an acceptable version of ourselves. But underneath is the real person with their complexities.
Exactly, and that's who we aim to connect with. This series is about learning to lower those masks, speak our truth with care, and create spaces where others feel safe to do the same. True connection isn't about having answers, but about being present and honest.
So, for anyone who's felt unfulfilled by conversations or wants more from their interactions, you're in the right place. We'll break down what makes conversations matter and offer tools to foster deeper bonds.
We'll explore trust, active listening, vulnerability, and asking better questions. Each episode builds on the last with practical insights. Today, we've set the stage by acknowledging the challenges of echo chambers and the feeling that something vital is missing.
And we've introduced the counterpoint, the ingrained human desire for genuine connection, the hunger to be truly understood. This series is our answer to that hunger.
So, are you ready to move beyond the echo chamber and start having conversations that truly matter?
We are. And that's a wrap on episode 1. Next, we'll be defining deep connection and what we're aiming for.
Join us for episode 2, Defining Deep Connection. What are we aiming for? Next episode, Defining Deep Connection. What are we aiming for? Welcome back. Last time, we explored the echo chamber and a desire for more in our interactions. Now, let's define deep connection. What are we aiming for?
Exactly, Alex. Episode 1 highlighted how easily we can exist alongside people without truly connecting, feeling heard, or understood. So, what does deep connection look like? It's more than just having many acquaintances, right?
Absolutely. It's fundamentally different from surface level rapport. You can have pleasant chats with many people, knowing surface details, but not feel deeply connected. Deep connection is about shared understanding, empathy, and crucially, a feeling of being truly seen and heard.
Seen and heard. I like that. It means the other person isn't just acknowledging your presence, but truly recognizing who you are, your thoughts, your feelings. And you feel that same way about them. It's mutual.
Precisely. It's built on shared meaning and genuine care. It's not about agreeing always, but about actively trying to understand each other's perspectives, even when they differ. This naturally builds trust. When you feel someone genuinely tries to understand you, you're more likely to open up.
And opening up is key, isn't it? It's not just hearing words, it's hearing the emotions behind them, the unspoken needs. When we achieve that, what are the real benefits? Why strive for this deep connection?
The payoffs are significant. Firstly, deep connection combats loneliness. You can feel profoundly alone even with people around if you lack these deeper bonds. With deep connections, you have people who truly get you, who you can rely on for emotional support. This fosters a greater sense of belonging. You feel part of something, not isolated.
That makes so much sense. It's like being in a crowded room but feeling invisible, versus being with a few people who truly see you. That sense of belonging must be incredibly powerful for our well being.
It truly is. And alongside that, there's increased trust. When we experience deep connection, we learn it's safe to be vulnerable. We know sharing our true selves won't lead to judgment or rejection. This trust then fuels even deeper connection. It's a positive cycle.
So, if surface connection is like having many small fences around your property, deep connection is like building a strong bridge between two properties. It allows passage, sharing, and understanding how the other side lives.
That's a fantastic analogy, Lisa. A bridge implies movement, communication, and the willingness to respectfully enter another space. A fence, conversely, signifies separation. We're aiming to build bridges in our relationships.
And what does building that bridge entail? What are the core components of this deep connection we're aiming for?
At its heart, deep connection involves mutual understanding. It's the effort each person makes to grasp the other's world, their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This isn't just passive observation, it's an active pursuit. We need to be curious about the other person.
Curiosity. That feels like a really important starting point. If we're not curious, how can we ever hope to understand?
Exactly. And following closely behind curiosity is empathy. Empathy means stepping into someone else's shoes, feeling with them, not just for them. It's understanding their perspective even if you don't share it. It's recognizing their emotions and responding with care.
So, it's not just hearing, I'm sad, but feeling a resonance of that sadness and responding in a way that validates their experience.
Precisely. And this leads to another vital component, authenticity. Deep connection thrives when we can be our true selves, without pretense or fear of judgment. This means not just accepting ourselves, but also sharing that authentic self with others.
That takes courage, doesn't it? To be so open and genuine.
It absolutely does. Vulnerability is a cornerstone of deep connection. It's the willingness to be seen, to be known with all our imperfections. This isn't about oversharing or burdening others, but about brave and open sharing that fosters intimacy.
So, to recap what we've discussed so far about what deep connection is, we're aiming for a state beyond superficial acquaintance. It's characterized by mutual understanding, where both parties feel genuinely seen and heard. It combats loneliness, fosters belonging, and builds robust trust. The key elements for building this connection are active curiosity, empathy, feeling with someone, authenticity, and the courage of vulnerability.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These are the qualities and outcomes we'll explore cultivating throughout this series. If episode 1 pointed out the gap between where we are and where we want to be, this episode has defined that destination. We know what deep connection looks and feels like. We've established the why and the what.
And it feels achievable, not like some unattainable ideal, when broken down into these core components. It gives us a clear target for the skills we'll be learning.
Indeed. In the coming episodes, we'll unpack each of these components: the foundation of trust, the art of active listening, the power of authentic sharing, and so much more to equip you with the tools to build those bridges, not just fences, in your own relationships. And to reiterate, deep connection is that vital human need for mutual understanding, empathy, and a sense of being truly seen and heard. It's the antidote to superficiality and isolation, fostering trust, belonging, and emotional well-being. Next episode, the foundation of trust, building a safe harbor for dialogue. Welcome back. Last time, we defined deep connection. Now, let's tackle the bedrock of dialogue: trust.
It's practically impossible to have an open conversation without trust. It's like building a house on sand. It just won't hold.
Exactly. What is trust in a conversation? It's confidence that the other person will listen without judgment, respect boundaries, and have your well-being at heart, even when you disagree. It's feeling safe enough to be yourself.
I love that framing. A safe harbor for dialogue. It conjures an image of protection and calm, a place where you can weather any conversational storm without fear.
Precisely. And building this safe harbor is an ongoing process. It starts with us within ourselves. Do we trust ourselves to be open and honest? Do we trust ourselves to express needs clearly? Often, our own internal trust issues prevent us from extending trust to others.
That's a really important point. If I'm constantly second-guessing my own thoughts or afraid of sounding foolish, how can I expect to feel safe sharing them? It's a bit of a catch, 22.
It can feel that way, but breaking that cycle begins with self-awareness. Recognizing your own patterns of doubt or fear is the first step. Then, we focus on building trust with the person we're conversing with. The most potent ingredient for building trust is consistency.
Consistency. What does that look like in everyday conversations?
It means your actions align with your words repeatedly. If you say you'll call back, you call back. If you promise to keep a secret, you keep it. It's about demonstrating reliability. When someone consistently shows up as dependable and true to their word, you start to feel that sense of safety, that harbor.
So, it's not just grand gestures, but small, everyday actions that build a pattern of reliability.
Absolutely. Imagine meeting someone new. If they're late, interrupt you, or dismiss your points, you're not likely to open up. But if they arrive on time, listen attentively, and validate your feelings, even if they don't agree, you're more inclined to think, okay, this person respects me. I can relax here.
That makes so much sense. You're predicting their behavior, and when it's positive and predictable, it lowers your guard. It's like a gentle unfolding rather than a sudden exposure.
Exactly. This predictability combats the fear that underpins a lack of trust. We fear being hurt, ridiculed, or dismissed. When someone demonstrates through consistent actions that these fears are unlikely to materialize, we feel safer to lower our defenses.
What about past experiences? If I've been burned before, it takes effort to trust someone new, even if they're behaving perfectly.
That's incredibly common. Past hurts can create what we call trust residue. It's a lingering suspicion or an automatic defensive posture. Recognizing that this residue exists is important. It doesn't mean the new person is untrustworthy, but rather that you have a history that might make you more cautious.
So, how do we avoid letting old wounds sabotage new connections?
It often involves a conscious decision. When interacting with someone new, remind yourself that this is a new relationship. Observe their behavior rather than projecting past behaviors. This doesn't mean ignoring red flags. If someone is consistently acting in a way that erodes trust, pay attention. But if they're demonstrating trustworthiness, try to let that in.
It sounds like a delicate balance between healthy self-protection and openness to the present.
Precisely. And initiating trust can be an active process. When you're in a conversation, especially early on, share something small and relatively low risk about yourself. Observe how the other person responds. Do they simply acknowledge it, or do they ask follow-up questions, showing genuine interest?
Ah, so you're testing the waters, offering a small piece of yourself to see if it's received with care.
Yes, you are. If they respond with genuine curiosity and care, you might feel comfortable sharing a little more. This progressive sharing is how trust deepens. It's a dance. You take a step, they respond, you take another. When responses are positive, the dance becomes more fluid.
So, beyond consistency and self-awareness, what other elements contribute to this safe harbor?
Genuine care is a big one. When you sense that someone truly cares about your well-being, not just in the conversation, but in general, it's a powerful trust builder. This care is often demonstrated through active listening, remembering details you've shared, and showing concern when you're going through a tough time.
I see. So it's not just about being reliable, but also about showing that you value the other person.
Exactly. And this is where we start to see the connection to vulnerability. A lack of trust creates a barrier that prevents us from being vulnerable. We hold back. We curate our words. We present a polished, often inauthentic version of ourselves.
Because if we can't be sure we're safe, why would we risk exposing our true selves with all our imperfections?
That's the fundamental question. Trust is the prerequisite for vulnerability. Without it, conversations remain superficial. We might exchange pleasantries, but we won't reach the profound understanding that makes conversations truly matter.
So, to recap, building trust for meaningful conversations involves first, developing trust in ourselves, second, demonstrating consistent reliability, third, being aware of past experiences but not letting them dictate present interactions, and fourth, fostering genuine care.
That's a beautiful summary. These elements create that safe harbor where genuine dialogue can flourish. When trust is present, we feel free to speak our truth, to explore difficult topics, and to truly connect.
It's clear trust isn't just a nice to have, it's the absolute foundation upon which all meaningful connection is built.
Absolutely. And next time, we'll explore a critical skill that builds directly on this foundation, the art of active listening. It's far more than just hearing words, it's about understanding. Next episode, the art of active listening, more than just hearing words. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Last time, we explored the vital foundation of trust that makes true dialogue possible. Today, we're diving deep into an equally fundamental skill, one that transforms mere sound into genuine understanding. We're talking about the art of active listening.
Active listening. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? We all listen, right? But as we'll discover, true active listening is so much more than just hearing words. It's about truly engaging with what's being said, and more importantly, with the person saying it.
Exactly, Lisa. Think about it. We spend so much of our lives communicating, yet how much of that time is spent actively listening? Often, our minds are already formulating our response, or we're distracted, or we're just waiting for our turn to speak. Active listening is the antidote to that. It's a deliberate, conscious effort to hear and understand the complete message being sent from another person.
So, Alex, what does this complete message entail? Are we just listening for facts, or is there more to it?
That's a fantastic question. We're listening for much more than just facts. We're listening for the speaker's feelings, their underlying needs, their perspective, and their intentions. It's about trying to understand the why behind the what. It involves paying attention to both the spoken words and the unspoken cues, like body language and tone of voice.
That makes sense. It's like you're trying to get the whole picture, not just a single piece of it. But how do we actually do that? How do we move from passively hearing to actively listening?
The first key technique is something called paraphrasing. This is where you restate what you've heard in your own words. It's not about repeating, but about showing that you've processed the information and understood it. You might say something like, "So, if I'm understanding correctly, you're feeling frustrated because the project deadline was moved up unexpectedly?"
Ah, I see. So, by putting it into my own words, I'm confirming my understanding and also giving the speaker a chance to clarify if I've missed something. It's a way of checking in.
Precisely. And this brings us to the second technique, asking clarify questions. When something is unclear or you need more information, asking open-ended questions is crucial. Instead of a simple yes or no question, try something like, "Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?" Or "What was your thought process when you made that decision?"
Those types of questions really invite the speaker to elaborate and share more. A closed question can shut down a conversation, while an open one can open it right up.
Exactly. And alongside paraphrasing and questioning, we have nonverbal cues. These are things like nodding your head, maintaining eye contact, not in an aggressive way, but in a connected way, and leaning in slightly. These signals tell the speaker, "I'm engaged. I'm here with you."
I've noticed that when someone is truly listening to me, I feel more comfortable sharing. It's like they're creating a safe space just by paying attention.
They absolutely are. And that leads us to a really important point. Active listening demonstrates respect. When you actively listen, you communicate to the other person that their thoughts and feelings are valuable. You're validating their experience. Think about a time when you felt truly heard. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel understood, and it made me feel less alone in my thoughts or feelings. It lessened any tension I might have been feeling.
And that's the power of it. I remember a situation a while back. I was having a rather tense discussion with a colleague about a project. We were both feeling frustrated, and it felt like we were just talking past each other. I realized I was so focused on defending my own point of view that I wasn't really hearing what they were saying.
What did you do?
I consciously decided to shift my approach. I stopped formulating my next argument, and instead, I focused entirely on what they were saying. When they paused, I paraphrased what I heard. "So, it sounds like you're concerned that the new approach might lead to more client complaints because of the tight turnaround time?" They immediately nodded and then added, "Yes, and I'm worried we haven't allocated enough resources for customer support during that phase." It was a crucial piece of information I had completely missed because I was too busy thinking about my own contribution.
That's a perfect example. Your shift in listening opened the door for them to share their deeper concern.
It completely de-escalated the tension. By actively listening, by validating their concerns, we were then able to collectively brainstorm solutions that addressed both our needs. It transformed a potentially confrontational situation into a collaborative problem-solving session. And it all started with a conscious choice to listen.
It really highlights how active listening isn't just a passive skill, it's an active behavior that requires effort and intention. It's about suspending your own agenda, at least temporarily, to truly understand the other person's.
Absolutely. So, let's recap the core elements of active listening. First, we have paraphrasing, restating what you've heard in your own words to confirm understanding. Second, asking clarifying questions, using open-ended questions to gain more insight. And third, using nonverbal cues like nodding and eye contact to show you're engaged.
And the benefits are huge. Fostering respect, validating feelings, reducing tension, and ultimately, building a much stronger connection. It's about making the speaker feel truly seen and heard.
It really is. It's the bridge that connects two minds, allowing for genuine understanding to flourish. Without it, even the most well-intentioned conversations can fall flat. So, I encourage all of you to practice these techniques. Be intentional about your listening. Don't just wait to speak, listen to understand.
Because a conversation is a shared space, and active listening is what makes that space feel safe and productive for everyone involved.
Well said, Lisa. We've laid a fantastic groundwork for understanding each other. Next time, we'll explore what happens when we get even more vulnerable in our conversations and the courage it takes to truly be seen. Next episode, Unpacking Vulnerability, the Courage to be Seen. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Last time, we explored active listening. Today, vulnerability.
Vulnerability. It sounds risky. We're taught to be strong, but you say it's the birthplace of connection.
True connection happens when we let ourselves be seen, imperfections and all. Society often teaches us to hide, fearing judgment or indifference. This leads us to shield ourselves, keeping our true feelings locked away.
So, it's like building a wall. But vulnerability isn't oversharing every thought, right? There must be different levels.
Absolutely. There are layers. At the surface, it's sharing a simple opinion that differs slightly or admitting you don't know something. That's like dipping a toe in. As trust grows, you can go deeper.
So, a surface level might be saying, I'm not sure I agree, without explaining why.
Precisely. Then, you might share a personal experience like a challenge in a hobby. The next level is sharing emotions, like admitting you feel anxious or lonely.
Even admitting loneliness can be a big step.
It can be. The deepest level involves sharing our core beliefs, deepest fears, regrets, and hopes. These are our tender parts, the ones that could lead to pain, but also profound connection. This is where authenticity shines.
It sounds like a progression, moving through different rooms. And you mentioned trust and safety, which we've covered before. You need to feel safe to be vulnerable.
You've hit the nail on the head. Trust is the foundation. Without it, vulnerability is like a tightrope walk without a net. That's why active listening is so important. When someone truly hears and understands you, they create that safety. It's a reciprocal dance.
It is. And it takes courage. I remember a time I had to be really vulnerable. I was in a project group and felt overwhelmed. My first thought was to just nod along, pretend I was fine.
A common, understandable reaction.
But I knew resentment would grow, and the project would suffer. So, in a meeting, I took a breath and said, I need to be honest. I'm lost. I'm not sure I understand the direction, and I'm worried I can't deliver if we keep going this way.
That must have felt exposed.
It did. My heart pounded. But instead of judgment, I got support. Someone else admitted they were confused too, but afraid to say so. Another offered to explain their understanding. We paused, clarified steps, and the whole team felt more aligned. My vulnerability actually helped everyone.
That's a powerful example. You took a risk, and the reward was understanding and a stronger team. This happens when vulnerability is met with empathy. Our insecurities are often shared, and speaking our truth helps others do the same.
So, it's choosing to be seen, even when uncomfortable, because deeper connection lies beyond. It's the courage to say, this is me, and trust the other person can hold it with care.
Exactly. And it's a two-way street. We share, and we provide a safe space for others. It's a practice. We start by being a little more open, a little more honest, and build that courage.
It's like building a bridge, starting with a few planks. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes, turning polite exchanges into genuine sharing.
A beautiful analogy. It's about moving beyond surface level conversation, aiming for those that truly matter. Vulnerability is essential. It's the courage to be seen, to be imperfect, that allows true connection to unfold. It's brave and rewarding.
So, vulnerability isn't weakness, but the birthplace of connection. It has layers, requires trust and safety, and is reciprocal. Daring to be seen creates deeper understanding and stronger bonds.
Well said. This leads us to our next episode, where we'll explore the power of authentic sharing, how to speak your truth with care. Next episode, the power of authentic sharing, speaking your truth with care. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Last time, we explored vulnerability. Today, we're discussing authentic sharing and speaking your truth with care.
That's right, Alex. Vulnerability is about being willing to show our inner selves, and authentic sharing is how we do that. It's about expressing our thoughts, feelings, and experiences honestly, without putting up walls. But the key here is with care. It's not just about unloading everything, it's about sharing in a way that builds connection, not burden.
Exactly. When someone shares something from their heart, a genuine experience or a deeply felt emotion, it's incredibly powerful. It draws us in. It's like they're opening a window into their world, and we can see and understand them on a deeper level. This is what we mean by authentic sharing. It's genuine, it's real, and it's intended to foster understanding.
So, it's about being truthful, but also mindful of the impact our words have. How do we strike that balance? Sometimes people worry about oversharing, about burdening the other person with too much information or emotion. When does honest sharing become too much?
That's a fantastic question, and it's a common concern. The difference between oversharing and genuine self-disclosure often lies in intention and impact. Oversharing can feel like an emotional unloading, a stream of consciousness that doesn't necessarily invite a connection or consider the listener's capacity. It can feel overwhelming or even inappropriate for the context. Genuine self-disclosure, on the other hand, is about offering a piece of yourself that is relevant to the conversation or relationship, and doing so in a way that invites empathy and understanding. It's a gift, not a burden.
A gift, not a burden. I like that. It makes it feel more intentional. So, how can we make sure our sharing is more of a gift? Are there ways to structure what we want to say?
Absolutely. A simple yet effective way to structure personal stories or feelings for sharing is to think about a few key elements. First, context. What is the situation or background that led to this feeling or experience? Providing a little context helps the listener understand the why.
Okay, so setting the scene. This happened when? Or I was feeling this way because.
Precisely. The second element is the core experience or feeling itself. This is the heart of what you want to share. Be specific and use descriptive language. Instead of saying, I was upset, you might say, I felt a knot in my stomach and my chest tightened.
That paints a much clearer picture. It's more visceral.
Exactly. And the third element is the most crucial for connection, the meaning or the takeaway. What did you learn from this experience? How did it impact you? Or what do you need from the listener right now? This is where you invite reciprocity. It turns a monologue into a dialogue.
So, context, the core feeling or experience, and then the meaning or request. That sounds like a really practical way to approach it. It gives the listener something to hold on to and respond to.
It does. And by sharing the meaning, you're also showing a level of self-awareness that could be very endearing and build trust. It shows you're not just recounting an event, but you're reflecting on it. This process of sharing your truth with these elements in mind naturally invites the other person to share their own experiences or reflections. It creates a cycle of authentic sharing and empathetic listening.
It's like you're offering a bridge for them to cross over to your world, and then they can invite you to their world in return. This is where mutual understanding really deepens, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. When we share our authentic selves, we're signaling safety and trust. We're saying, this is who I am. And by doing so, we give the other person permission to be authentic too. It's a powerful catalyst for connection because it moves us beyond superficial pleasantries into a space of genuine human experience. Think about times when someone has shared something truly personal with you. How did it make you feel towards them?
I could definitely feel more connected. It's like I understand them better, I feel closer to them. It makes me want to be more open with them in return, to share my own vulnerabilities or experiences that made me feel that way. It breaks down barriers.
That's the ripple effect of authentic sharing. It's not just about the two people in the conversation. It can influence how we show up in other relationships and even how we understand ourselves. When we speak our truth with care, we're not just expressing ourselves. We are actively building deeper connections, fostering empathy, and strengthening the very fabric of our relationships.
So, to recap what we've discussed, authentic sharing is about expressing our real thoughts, feelings, and experiences honestly, but with consideration for the listener. We differentiate it from oversharing by focusing on our intention and the impact. A helpful way to structure our sharing is to provide context, clearly state the core experience or feeling, and then share the meaning or what we learned, which invites reciprocity.
And by doing this, we create an environment where others feel safe to share their own truths, leading to deeper mutual understanding and stronger bonds. It's a fundamental skill for building meaningful connections.
It really is. It's about being brave enough to be real and wise enough to do it with heart.
Next episode, navigating difficult conversations. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Last time, we explored the profound power of authentic sharing. Now, we're diving into navigating difficult conversations.
Ah, yes, the conversations we tend to put off. It's easy to crave deep connection, but disagreements can feel like a real test, can't they? Sometimes it feels like there's just friction.
Absolutely, Lisa. And that friction, while uncomfortable, can actually push us towards deeper understanding and a stronger bond. Think of it like forging metal. Difficult conversations are the same for our relationships. They can be catalysts for growth.
That's a powerful way to put it, Alex. So, when we say difficult conversations, what exactly are we talking about?
Often, it's about topics where there's a significant difference in perspective, where emotions are running high, or where there's potential for real hurt. The common thread is that the stakes feel high.
And what are the common pitfalls we stumble into?
One of the biggest is defensiveness. When we feel criticized, our immediate instinct is to protect ourselves. This can manifest as shutting down or becoming argumentative. Suddenly, you're not listening, you're just trying to win.
Oh, I've been there. It's like building a wall instead of a bridge. And what about personal attacks?
Exactly. When the conversation shifts from the issue to attacking the person's character, you've crossed a critical line. This immediately puts the other person on the defensive. We need to remember that we're talking with someone, not at them.
So, if defensiveness and personal attacks are the pitfalls, what's the alternative?
The key is to shift our focus from winning to understanding. This means approaching the conversation with empathy. Try to imagine yourself in the other person's shoes. What might be their perspective? What are they feeling?
That's a great point, Alex. It's about understanding their intent, even if you don't agree with their actions or words.
Precisely. An understanding intent often requires asking clarifying questions rather than making assumptions. Instead of thinking, they're deliberately trying to upset me, try asking, can you help me understand why that was important to you? This opens the door to dialogue.
I'm thinking of a situation recently. My friend Anya was upset with me about something I'd said that she felt was dismissive of her feelings. My initial reaction was, I didn't mean it that way at all. But instead of just saying that, I took a breath and remembered what we've talked about.
And what did you do, Lisa?
Well, I said, Anya, I'm really sorry if what I said hurt you. That was absolutely not my intention. Can you tell me more about how it landed with you? I want to understand. And hearing that, she was able to explain her perspective without getting defensive herself. She explained that she felt I was minimizing her struggle, and we talked it through.
That's a perfect example of a difficult conversation turning into a catalyst. By focusing on her experience and expressing your regret for the impact, you created a safe space. Did that conversation lead to a better understanding between you?
It absolutely did. We both realized we needed to be clearer in our communication. I learned to be more mindful of how my words might be perceived. And she learned to give me the benefit of the doubt. The conversation, which could have been a real blow to our friendship, actually made us closer because we navigated it with care and openness.
That's the power we're talking about. Friction as a catalyst. So, to recap some of these strategies for navigating difficult conversations. First, recognize that discomfort is often a sign of growth. Don't shy away from it. Second, focus on understanding the other person's perspective and intent, rather than just defending your own. This involves active listening and asking clarifying questions.
And third, avoid personal attacks and defensiveness. Frame your feedback around the behavior or the issue, not the person. Use I statements to express your feelings and experiences like, I felt concerned when X happened, rather than you always do X.
Excellent summary, Lisa. And remember the imagine technique. Imagine the other person's perspective. Visualize yourself stepping into their shoes. This mental exercise can dramatically shift your approach before the conversation even begins.
So, it seems like the goal isn't to avoid conflict, but to transform it. To use those moments of friction as opportunities to build trust and deepen connection, just like you said, like forging metal.
Exactly. It's about managing conflict constructively rather than letting it manage us. When we can approach these challenging talks with empathy, curiosity, and a genuine desire to understand, we don't just resolve an issue, we strengthen the very foundation of our relationship. These conversations, handled well, are not just about talking through something difficult. They're about talking towards something better.
It's about using those moments to ensure our conversations matter, truly matter, in building stronger, more resilient connections.
Indeed. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Next time, we'll explore empathy in action and learn more about truly stepping into another's shoes. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. We're episode 8, diving deep into empathy.
Empathy. It's a word we hear a lot, but what does it really mean in our conversations? Last time, we were talking about navigating difficult conversations. Empathy feels like the essential ingredient to make that friction productive.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of it like this. We've been building a toolbox for meaningful conversations. Empathy is the skill that allows us to use those tools effectively when someone else is sharing their world with us. It's about stepping into another person's shoes to understand their perspective and their feelings.
Stepping into their shoes. So, it's not just about listening to their words, but understanding the feelings behind those words?
Precisely. It's about connecting with their emotional experience. And it's important to distinguish empathy from sympathy. Sympathy is feeling for someone, like saying, oh, that's too bad. Empathy, on the other hand, is feeling with someone. It's about saying, I can understand how that feels for you.
That's a really clear distinction. Sympathy can create distance. Empathy feels like it bridges the gap. So, how do we cultivate this ability to feel with someone?
One of the most powerful ways is through mindful presence. When someone is speaking, especially about something difficult, we need to quiet our own internal chatter. We need to resist the urge to immediately offer solutions, to share our own similar stories, or to judge. Our job, in that moment, is to be fully present and receptive.
That can be harder than it sounds. My mind often races ahead. So, the first step is really just being there.
Being there fully. It means paying attention not just to their words, but to their tone of voice, their body language, their energy. Are they speaking quickly and nervously? Are they trailing off? These are all clues to their emotional state. It's about observing without immediately interpreting or evaluating.
And what do we do with those observations? How do we translate that into an empathetic response?
Validation is key. When someone is sharing a difficult experience, the most empathetic response is often to acknowledge and validate their feelings. This doesn't mean you have to agree with their interpretation of events. It simply means you recognize that their feelings are real and understandable from their perspective.
So, instead of saying, you shouldn't feel that way, we might say something like, it sounds like that was incredibly frustrating for you, or I can see how upsetting that must have been.
Exactly. Those are perfect examples. You are reflecting back what you are hearing and understanding. You're holding a mirror up to their experience. Another powerful tool is asking open-ended questions that invite them to share more, but do so gently. Instead of asking, "Were you angry?" you might ask, "How did that make you feel?"
That encourages them to elaborate and explore their own emotions, rather than giving you a yes or no answer. It shows you're interested in the depth of their experience.
Right? And think about it from the speaker's perspective. When someone validates your feelings, you feel heard. You feel understood. That's often exactly what people need most when they're going through something tough. It creates a sense of safety, which is foundational for open dialogue.
It's like creating that safe harbor we talked about. Empathy is the anchor that holds the ship steady in a storm.
Beautiful analogy, Lisa. And to practice this, we can start small. Notice opportunities in everyday conversations. When a friend is complaining about their commute, instead of jumping to solutions about public transport, try saying, "Ugh, that sounds like such a drain on your morning."
That's something I can definitely try. It's about shifting the intention from fixing to connecting.
Exactly. And as we get more comfortable, we can tackle more complex situations. For instance, if someone is sharing a painful memory, it's natural to want to comfort them. But sometimes, the most comforting thing is simply to sit with them in their pain without trying to erase it. You can say, "That sounds incredibly difficult to carry. I'm here to listen."
That acknowledges the weight of their experience without trying to minimize it. It's about sharing the load, in a sense, by simply being present with it.
And that presence, that willingness to understand without judgment, is the heart of empathy in action. It's a practice, and like any practice, it gets easier and more natural with repetition. It requires us to momentarily set aside our own agenda, our own stories, and really lean into the other person's.
So, to recap, empathy is feeling with someone, not just for them. It involves being mindfully present, observing their emotional cues, and validating their feelings. Practical tools include acknowledging their experience, asking open ended questions, and resisting the urge to immediately fix or judge. It's about connecting with their reality.
That's a great summary, Lisa. Empathy isn't about agreeing with someone or even liking what they're feeling. It's about acknowledging that their feelings are valid for them. It's a profound gift you can give another person, the gift of being truly seen and understood. And this, in turn, strengthens the connection between you.
It really does. It's the bridge that allows us to build deeper relationships and have conversations that truly matter.
Next episode, the role of nonverbal communication beyond the spoken word. Welcome back. Last time we delved into empathy, learning how to step into another person's shoes. Now, we're shifting our focus to nonverbal communication.
That's right, Alex. We're talking about everything that speaks without words: body language, facial expressions, tone of voice. It's incredible how much information we convey and receive through these silent channels.
Exactly. And our nonverbal cues can either powerfully reinforce our spoken words or completely contradict them, leading to confusion. If someone says, "I'm happy to help," with slumped shoulders and a flat tone, what do you believe?
You believe the slumped shoulders and the flat tone. It creates a disconnect. Your brain tries to reconcile two different messages, and that can make you feel uneasy or distrustful, even if you can't pinpoint why. Nonverbal communication often carries more weight.
That's a great point, Lisa. Our brains are wired to pick up on these signals. From a very early age, infants rely on nonverbal cues to understand their environment. So, even when we focus on words, our subconscious constantly processes these other signals.
Let's break down some key elements. We've got body language, posture, gestures, and our use of space. Then there are facial expressions, which are incredibly rich with information. And of course, paralanguage, which is about how we say things, our tone, pitch, volume, and speed.
Right? Each element tells a story. Someone standing tall with shoulders back often conveys confidence. Conversely, someone hunched over, perhaps with arms crossed, might be signaling defensiveness or a closed-off attitude. This is a powerful message.
And gestures. A firm handshake can convey confidence. Open palms might signal honesty, but excessive fidgeting might distract or suggest nervousness. It's about being aware of what your body is doing.
Now, facial expressions are arguably the most immediate and impactful. A genuine smile instantly builds rapport. Raised eyebrows might indicate surprise. A furrowed brow can signal confusion. The human face displays a vast range of emotions, and we're adept at reading them.
This is also where mismatched signals can really trip us up. Imagine someone telling a sad story with a slight smile. That incongruence is jarring.
It makes us question authenticity. Our brains look for consistency. When verbal and nonverbal messages align, it creates trust and understanding. We feel like we're getting the full picture.
And then there's paralanguage, the musicality of our speech. Think about saying "that's interesting" in a warm tone versus a sarcastic one. The words are the same, but the meaning is worlds apart.
Absolutely. A rushed, high-pitched tone might suggest anxiety. A slow, low-pitched tone could convey seriousness. Volume also plays a role. Speaking too quietly might make you seem hesitant, while speaking too loudly can feel aggressive.
So, Alex, how can we become more adept at both sending and receiving these nonverbal signals?
The key is presence and awareness. It starts with being more mindful. First, focus on receiving. Observe the other person's nonverbal cues. What is their body language telling you? Are their facial expressions aligned with their words? Are they leaning in or pulling away?
So it's about actively listening not just with our ears, but with our eyes and intuition. Paying attention to these details.
Precisely. If you notice a mismatch, say they say they're fine, but their shoulders are slumped, you might gently address it. Something like, "You say you're okay, but I'm noticing you seem a bit down. Is everything all right?" This opens the door for them to share if they wish.
That's a great way to put it. Opening the door. It's not about diagnosing them, but acknowledging what you observe.
Exactly. And then, be aware of your own nonverbal communication. Are your words of encouragement matched by an open posture and a warm tone? Are you making appropriate eye contact?
It's about congruence in ourselves, making sure our inner state is reflected in our outer presentation to build trust.
Think of it like this. If your spoken words are the lyrics of a song, your nonverbal communication is the melody, rhythm, and instrumentation. If they harmonize, the song is beautiful. If they clash, it's dissonant. We want beautiful harmonies.
That's a fantastic analogy, Alex. It highlights how intertwined these elements are. And it's not just about individual cues, but the combination. When you see a pattern of cues, you get a clearer picture.
And this brings us back to connection. When our nonverbal communication is clear and supportive, it builds rapport, signals warmth, and fosters psychological safety. People feel understood and validated. This is crucial for building deep connections.
So, to recap, we've explored how body language, facial expressions, and paralanguage are powerful communicators. We've seen how a mismatch can create confusion and distrust. And importantly, cultivating awareness of both others' cues and our own can significantly enhance our ability to connect authentically.
Indeed, by paying attention to the silent language, we gain a deeper understanding of those around us, and we can communicate our own inner world more effectively. It's about being present, being aware, and ensuring our entire being is engaged in the conversation.
Next time, we'll explore how to create truly safe spaces where this kind of open, honest, and nonverbally aware communication can flourish.
We'll see you then for episode 10, Creating Safe Spaces, the Architecture of Open Dialogue. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Last time, we explored nonverbal communication. Now, let's focus on creating safe spaces.
That means an environment where people feel secure to be open and honest without judgment or shame. It's the architecture for meaningful dialogue.
Exactly, the architecture of dialogue. It requires a solid foundation, like the trust we built in episode 3. Without trust, there's no safety.
Trust is built consistently. What are immediate steps to foster safety in conversation?
Establish clear ground rules or intentions. Simple reminders like, let's listen respectfully and avoid interrupting, or our intention is to understand each other.
So, setting the stage before the play begins.
Precisely. And hand in hand with ground rules are boundaries. Be clear about your limits and respect others. Say, I'm not ready to talk about that, or notice distress and steer the conversation.
That links to vulnerability in episode 5. Boundaries ensure the safe space is maintained.
Yes, to make them effective, practice mindful communication. Be present, pay attention to words, tone, body language, and the emotional atmosphere.
Mindful communication means being fully engaged and conscious of our impact.
Right? This involves active listening from episode 4. When someone feels heard, safety emerges. It's making a genuine effort to understand their perspective and needs.
Active listening signals their contribution is valued, building trust. It says, I'm invested in understanding you.
Yes, in a one-on-one conversation, choose a private setting, put away distractions, and state your intention. For example, I value our relationship and want to ensure we're on the same page.
That opens the door gently, framing it as collaborative.
Exactly. In a group, a facilitator can set the tone, reiterate purpose, and remind of rules. Ensure everyone has a chance to speak.
The leader acts as a guardian of the safe space, managing dynamics.
That's a good analogy. This guardian role involves mediating if tensions arise. Remember episode 7 on difficult conversations? We can handle challenges constructively by referring to rules, acknowledging difficulty, and resetting.
It's a built-in mechanism for conflict resolution, strengthening safety.
Precisely. Another aspect is permission to be imperfect. We all make mistakes. In a safe space, there's an understanding that this is human. Be forgiving of yourself and others. This reduces fear of judgment.
That's a relief. It lowers the pressure to be flawless.
It truly does. So, creating safe spaces involves building a supportive structure, trust, clear ground rules and boundaries, mindful and active listening. It's about being present, respecting limits, and handling difficulties constructively.
This applies to one-on-one and group settings, with everyone playing a role. It fosters an environment where vulnerability is welcomed and imperfection is allowed.
Absolutely. Prioritizing safe spaces unlocks deeper understanding, stronger connections, and more impactful conversations. It's fertile ground for everything else.
It really is the foundation. Alex, how do we move forward?
Next episode, we'll explore the art of asking better questions to deepen understanding and unlock insights. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. Today, we're asking better questions to deepen conversations.
Absolutely, Alex. We've talked a lot about listening actively, but if we're not asking good questions, we're not truly guiding the conversation. It feels like questions are the keys that unlock deeper connection.
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. Questions are the keys. A conversation is a journey, and questions are the signposts. Dull, closed off questions get brief, unhelpful answers. It's like asking, "Did you have a good day?" They'll likely say, "Yes." End of story.
Right. And then you're stuck. You haven't learned anything, and the connection hasn't grown. It's a missed opportunity. We've all been in conversations that stay stubbornly on the surface.
Exactly. The problem often lies in the type of questions we ask. There's a fundamental difference between closed-ended questions, which get a yes or no, or a short factual response, and open-ended questions, which invite elaboration and reflection.
So, a closed-ended question is like hitting a brick wall. An open-ended question is like opening a door and inviting someone to explore the room beyond.
That's a fantastic way to put it. Instead of asking, "Are you happy with your job?" A closed-ended question, we could ask, "What do you find most fulfilling about your current role?" Or "What does a typical and fulfilling workday look like for you?"
Ah, I see. That immediately prompts them to think more deeply and share specifics. It shifts the focus from a simple evaluation to a descriptive one. It makes the conversation more interesting.
Precisely. Asking, "What do you find most fulfilling?" encourages them to connect with positive experiences and articulate what brings them joy. Exploring what a fulfilling workday looks like can reveal values and priorities. It's about understanding the why behind their feelings.
This ties back so well to our episode on vulnerability, doesn't it? Asking these kinds of open-ended questions creates an environment where someone might feel more comfortable sharing deeper experiences. It shows genuine interest.
Absolutely. And it's not just about asking questions, it's about the intent. Are we asking to gather information? Or are we asking out of genuine curiosity to understand another person's perspective? The latter fosters connection. When you ask with sincere curiosity, it signals that you value their thoughts.
That's such an important distinction. When we're purely curious, our questions tend to be more exploratory and less judgmental. They aim to uncover, not confirm our assumptions.
Indeed. So, what makes a question truly better? We've touched on open-endedness, but there are other qualities. Insightful questions often prompt reflection. They might ask about feelings, beliefs, or the reasoning behind an action. For instance, how did that situation make you feel? Or what led you to that conclusion?
And thinking about our previous episodes, questions that encourage us to think about our nonverbal communication or how we're showing up can also be powerful. Like, when you felt that way, what did your body feel like? Or what message do you think you were sending with your words then?
Those are excellent examples, Lisa, and they demonstrate how we can weave together the skills from different episodes. Another category of effective questions are those that focus on possibilities and future states. Instead of just dwelling on the past, we can ask questions that move us forward.
Like, if you could change one thing about that experience, what would it be and why? Or, what's one small step you could take towards that goal?
Exactly. These types of questions are less about analyzing what went wrong and more about identifying opportunities for growth and positive change. They empower the other person by focusing on their agency and their ability to shape their future.
I've been collecting some question starters for our listeners that they can practice with. Things like, tell me more about, what was that like for you? How did you approach that? What are you thinking or feeling about? What assumptions might be at play here? And for reflecting on values, what's most important to you about this?
Those are fantastic, Lisa. Using phrases like tell me more about is such a gentle way to open up a topic without putting someone on the spot. It's an invitation. And the question about assumptions? That's incredibly powerful for uncovering hidden beliefs that might be influencing someone's perspective.
It really is. And to make sure we're not overwhelming ourselves, it's important to remember that we don't need to bombard people with questions. Sometimes, a single, well crafted question at the right moment can be revolutionary. It's about quality, not quantity.
Absolutely. And we must remember to listen to the answers. The most insightful question in the world is useless if we don't tune in to the response. This is where active listening becomes paramount. We listen not just to hear the words, but to understand the meaning, the emotion, and the underlying message.
So, to recap for our listeners, excellent questions are typically open ended, inviting elaboration. They come from a place of genuine curiosity, not judgment. They can prompt reflection on feelings, reasons, and values. And they can also be future oriented, focusing on possibilities.
And remember those question starters Lisa shared. Tell me more about what was that like for you? How did you approach that? What are you thinking or feeling about? What assumptions might be at play here? And what's most important to you about this? They are excellent tools for unlocking deeper insights.
By consciously practicing asking better questions, we not only gain a deeper understanding of others, but we also foster a more profound and meaningful connection. It transforms conversations into opportunities for genuine discovery and bonding.
So, as you go about your conversations this week, try to move beyond the yes and no. Ask yourself, what's another way I could ask this to invite more depth? And what am I genuinely curious to learn from this person? Next episode, Sustaining Connection, from conversation to lasting bonds. Welcome back. Last time we learned how asking better questions can unlock deeper insights.
Today, we're talking about how to keep those connections strong. How do we move from a single meaningful conversation to lasting, deep bonds?
Exactly, Lisa. A truly deep connection isn't a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It requires consistent effort, much like tending a garden. You cannot just plant the seeds and walk away. You need to water it, give it sunlight, and pull out the weeds. The same applies to our relationships.
So, it is about showing up consistently, not just when we want something or when a big life event happens, but in the everyday moments.
Precisely. Think about the foundations we have discussed throughout this series, like trust and vulnerability. These are not things you build once and then they're set in stone. They need to be reinforced regularly. Every time you choose to be honest, even when it is uncomfortable, you are reinforcing trust. Every time you share a fear or a hope, you're strengthening that vulnerability.
It makes sense. If we have built a strong foundation of trust and vulnerability, then those harder conversations we talked about become easier to navigate, right? Because there is already a deep well of understanding to draw from.
Absolutely. And active listening, something we covered, becomes second nature. When you have cultivated a habit of truly hearing someone, not just waiting for your turn to speak, that deepens the soil for lasting connection. You're not just hearing their words, you're understanding their world.
I remember we talked about how active listening involves paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues. So, it is about seeing the whole person.
Precisely. And this habit of really seeing and hearing each other is what transforms a good conversation into a growing relationship. It is about making the other person feel not just heard, but truly understood and valued. This creates a sense of psychological safety where both individuals feel comfortable being themselves.
Psychological safety. That is a good phrase to anchor this idea. It is a space where you do not have to pretend or put on a show. You can be your authentic self.
Yes, and that authenticity is key. When we can be authentically ourselves and allow others to do the same, that is when real bonds form. It is about showing up with open hearts and open minds.
What are some practical ways we can actively sustain this kind of connection in our busy lives? It can feel overwhelming sometimes to think about the ongoing effort.
That is a very relatable challenge. One effective strategy is what I call scheduled connection. It does not have to be a grand gesture. It could be a recurring, short check-in with a friend or family member. Perhaps a 5-minute phone call every Sunday evening, or a quick text message acknowledging something they shared earlier in the week. The key is consistency.
So, like setting a reminder on your phone, but for nurturing a relationship.
Exactly. And it is not just about passive communication. It is also about proactive support. When you know someone is going through a tough time or working toward the goal, actively offering your support, even in small ways, makes a huge difference. It is not just saying, let me know if you need anything, but genuinely asking, is there one small thing I can do today to help lighten your load?
That is a great distinction. It moves from a general offer to a specific, actionable commitment. And it shows you have been listening and you care about their specific situation.
Right. And sometimes sustaining connection means navigating through conflict. Remember when we discussed friction as a catalyst? Disagreements are inevitable in any relationship. The strength of the bond is not determined by whether conflict happens, but by how you handle it. Approaching disagreements with the intention of understanding rather than winning is critical for long-term connection.
So, using those principles of active listening and empathy, even when you are feeling frustrated or misunderstood.
Precisely. It is about seeing the conflict as an opportunity to deepen your understanding of each other, not as a threat to the relationship. And this also means being willing to apologize when you have made a mistake and to forgive when you have been wronged. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for sustained connection. It allows relationships to heal and move forward.
It sounds like it is about a commitment to growth, both individually and as a pair or group.
That is a beautiful way to put it, Lisa. Sustaining connection is a commitment to growth. It is about continuously learning about each other, adapting to changes, and choosing to invest in the relationship. It means celebrating successes together, offering comfort during failures, and simply being present.
So, to recap our main points today, sustaining deep connection is not about a single perfect conversation. It is about ongoing effort, built on the foundations of trust, vulnerability, and active listening. Practical strategies include consistent check ins, proactive support, and navigating conflict constructively, always aiming for understanding and growth.
Well said, Lisa. These principles of showing up, offering support, and managing conflict are the threads that weave a strong, lasting tapestry of connection. They are what make our relationships resilient and deeply fulfilling.
It really emphasizes that these conversations, the ones that matter, are not just isolated events, but the building blocks of enduring bonds.
Indeed. And as we move towards our final episode, we will be looking at the broader impact of these meaningful interactions, the ripple effect of conversations that truly matter.
Happy learning!
Welcome back. This is our 13th and final episode, and we're talking about the ripple effect.
It's been an incredible journey. From the echo chamber to vulnerability, we've covered so much. This final episode, the ripple effect, Conversations that matter beyond ourselves is about how meaningful conversations spread outwards.
Exactly. When you have a deep conversation, you feel seen and valued. That positive energy influences how you interact with others.
It's like dropping a pebble into a pond. The ripples touch more and more water. Our personal growth can positively impact families, friends, colleagues, and communities.
Precisely. Let's quickly recap. We define deep connection, moving beyond superficial exchanges. Trust is the bedrock of dialogue, building a safe harbor.
And remember active listening? It's truly absorbing and showing the speaker they are heard. This is a key skill.
Absolutely. Then we dove into vulnerability, the courage to be seen. This isn't oversharing, but sharing your authentic self with care. This leads to authentic sharing, speaking your truth thoughtfully.
Navigating difficult conversations was big. Friction, handled constructively, can be a catalyst for growth, not something to avoid. Empathy was crucial, stepping into another's shoes.
That empathy is amplified by nonverbal communication. We convey so much beyond our words. Creating safe spaces is paramount. What made those spaces safe, Lisa?
That goes back to trust and respect. It's about ensuring everyone feels heard, valued, and safe. We also learned the art of asking better questions, questions that unlock deeper insights.
And finally, we talked about sustaining connection, moving from a single conversation to lasting bonds. It's about consistent effort.
So, thinking about that ripple effect, how does it manifest? When we practice these skills, we improve our own relationships and positively impact workplaces.
Productivity increases, collaboration strengthens, and people feel more engaged. It creates a healthier culture. Or consider families. Open communication between parents and children, or partners truly listening, strengthens the family unit.
That shared understanding and emotional support make all the difference. Even on a community level, constructive dialogues can bridge divides, foster understanding, and lead to positive social change.
It's about building a more connected and compassionate world, one conversation at a time. Each of us has the power to initiate these positive ripples. It starts with everyday interactions.
So, for our listeners, the challenge is to apply these principles. Start small. Choose one skill this week. Maybe it's active listening or asking more open ended questions.
And remember vulnerability. It's in that space of authentic sharing that the deepest connections are forged, and those connections send out powerful ripples of positivity. It's a continuous practice.
So, as we wrap up the series, I'm feeling incredibly hopeful. We've armed ourselves with these tools, and we've seen the potential for transformation, both within ourselves and in the world around us.
The power of our conversations extends far beyond the immediate moment. Each act of genuine connection sends out ripples that can touch countless lives, creating a more empathetic, supportive, and connected world.
It's a beautiful thought to end on, Alex. The impact of our words, our listening, and our willingness to connect truly matters.
It truly does, Lisa. And with that, we come to the end of our series, Conversations That Matter Beyond Surface Real Connection. We've covered so much from trust and active listening to vulnerability and empathy. We've explored navigating challenging dialogue and sustaining deep bonds. And today, we've reflected on the incredible ripple effect that these meaningful conversations have on our lives and the world.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We encourage you to keep practicing, keep connecting, and keep letting those positive ripples spread.
Thanks for listening to the series.